All right, so Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez appeared on The Breakfast Club. A lot of politicians go on The Breakfast Club. I know that I think all the presidential candidates went on The Breakfast Club. If not, all right, I don't think Joe Biden went on, but I think most of them went on The Breakfast Club. And so AOC, it looks like, has gone on The Breakfast Club, and she made a pretty darn good point that I wanted to highlight for you guys. So we are going to go ahead and check this out.
They feel
Elected
like he
position of
could
power.
beat Trump, and that's the main thing.
I
That's what I
think
think people look at.
That's not enough for me. Just somebody that can beat Trump.
I agree. I agree. You know, we have to beat Trump, but if we beat Trump and go back to the same policies that we had before, a worse Trump is going to come. A Trump that's more sophisticated, whose fascism is less obvious, is going to come, and things could get even worse.
Would you ever take money from Bloomberg?
No. No.
And so that is a very, very important point to be making. And I love it when I hear pundits. I just saw, I think it was Rahm Emanuel that I saw on CNN. He was like, our number one goal is taking out Trump, our number two goal is taking out Trump, and number three goal is taking out Trump. Like, no, that's not our goal whatsoever. I'm not in, like, if you're too dumb to understand, or you're incapable of understanding that the reason why we're in this whole situation, these circumstances that we find ourselves in, is because of the neoliberals that have been propped up by people like Rahm Emanuel, who is one of the neoliberals, you know, by having Obama in for 8 years with mealy-mouthed centrism, then having Hillary Clinton in office. And remember, Bill Clinton also doing the same neoliberal triangulation, process and policies, and three strikes you're out bill and all this other stuff. So when you have these kinds of neoliberal folks in office, you're going to get Donald Trump as a response, especially when you have Hillary Clinton. The person may not even necessarily be more, they could be more overt with their fascism, or they could be, more, cloaked in their fascism in the future. But it's a really, really important point to make out to people. Hey, dudes, just getting rid of Trump that's not the goal here. If we get rid of Trump and we replace him with Bloomberg, we're in a worse position than before. Because, when you have Bloomberg in office, less people are going to pay attention to the garbage that he's doing. Same thing goes with anybody, Joe Biden, whoever. Because in 4 years, you're going to have another Trump. And if you don't understand the cycle that we're in, you need to pick it up quickly. You need to learn quickly. Figure it out, man. Come on. Let's go. Speed up here. You need to figure this shit out. Because it's a huge, huge problem. So people need to understand the circular stuff. Now, I do wish AOC would talk about stuff like this more. Maybe because she was on The Breakfast Club, it was a more real environment she was in. But she seems to do a lot. She seems to dodge a lot of that type of conversation. She doesn't really seem to like to go after centrists very much, or centrism, or Nancy Pelosi, or any of that ideology. She seems to be a bit different from Bernie Sanders in that way. Which, some people will say basically, oh, dude, no, she's just doing that to pull in centrist voters, which, okay, I guess, maybe you're right. But I have to tell you, it's definitely a bit, worrisome that this is not always the AOC that we get. A lot of the AOC that we get is not telling the truth about the Democratic establishment, or focusing on the Democratic establishment. A lot of it's, sort of kind of being careful and very calculated to make sure you don't cross that sort of centrist line. And she does that a lot, so that's a little bit worrisome. But the Breakfast Club's politics are pretty bad. Charlemagne is this sort of weird, like, weavy guy. I don't think he sort of has any sort of real economic analysis or belief on any issues. And he endorsed Kamala Harris for president, which is just absolutely embarrassing. Kamala Harris, spent years damaging the African American community. He's voting because her color is black, which is really stupid, of course. DJ Envy is just a straight up Republican. That guy's like a free market guy who just wants to, he's the gimme, gimme, gimme guy that Tupac was talking about. And so it's just, it sucks, honestly, dude. Like, the Breakfast Club, like, I think this interview was not so good. And so their politics they're not good, dude. I mean, it's really bad. But anyways, wanted to highlight that clip for you guys of AOC on The Breakfast Club, where she is keeping it real.